boss fired a poor mechanic for fixing an old lady's car for free. Days later, the sound of the wrench hitting the concrete echoed louder than the thunder outside when the mechanic realized his job was gone. One small act of kindness had just cost him everything. In that moment, standing in a grease-stained uniform with rainwater seeping through the cracked garage roof, he had no idea that this ending was actually the beginning of a story far bigger than his pain, a story that would test the true price of compassion and prove that goodness never disappears, it only waits to be seen. Before we go deeper, take a moment right now. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and doing the right thing even when it hurts, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. The mechanic had grown up knowing what hunger felt like, and what it meant to be invisible. His childhood was shaped by broken tools, unpaid bills, and a father who taught him that honest work mattered more than money. He learned early that engines were easier to understand than people, and machines at least responded when you treated them with care. Years later, he found himself working at a small auto shop on the edge of town, owned by a man obsessed with profit margins and time clocks. Every minute had a price. Every repair had a rate. Compassion was not on the list. One cold afternoon, an old woman arrived in a battered sedan that sounded like it might fall apart before reaching the street corner. Her hands trembled as she explained her problem, and her eyes carried the quiet fear of someone who could not afford another disaster. The mechanic inspected the car and quickly realized the fix was small, something he could do in less than an hour with spare parts already lying around. He also realized she did not have the money. In that moment, he remembered his own mother counting coins at the kitchen table, choosing between groceries and electricity. He fixed the car anyway, refusing payment, telling himself that some things were more important than rules. The boss found out before sunset. Rage replaced reason as the owner accused him of stealing company time and resources. The mechanic tried to explain, but explanations did not matter in a place where kindness was seen as weakness. He was fired on the spot, told to clear out his locker and never come back. As he walked home under a darkening sky, his hands still smelled of oil, but now they also carried the weight of fear. Rent was due. Food was scarce. Jobs were hard to find. Doing the right thing had never felt so wrong. The days that followed were brutal. Each morning began with rejection, doors closing before they fully opened. His savings vanished quickly, and nights were spent staring at the ceiling, listening to the city breathe while doubt whispered that kindness was a luxury for the rich. He considered selling his tools, the very things that defined him, but something inside refused to let go. Fixing things was not just his skill, it was his purpose. Meanwhile, unseen by him, the old woman told her story. She spoke of the young mechanic who helped her when no one else would, who treated her like a human being instead of a burden. She told it at church, at the grocery store, and eventually to someone unexpected, a relative who happened to run a large transportation company and had been searching for someone trustworthy to oversee maintenance for an entire fleet. In a world full of shortcuts and scams, honesty had become rare, and rare things carried value. A few days later, as the mechanic prepared to pawn his toolbox, a call came through. At first, he thought it was another mistake, another dead end. Instead, it was an invitation to meet, to explain what had happened, to speak about his work and his values. Sitting across from polished desks and clean floors felt unreal, but he spoke from the same place he always had, from truth. He did not defend himself with anger. He explained why he fixed the car, why he believed work without compassion was empty, and why he would do it again even knowing the cost. What followed changed his life. He was offered a position that paid more than he had ever earned, with benefits, respect, and the chance to lead others. More than that, he was given trust. The same hands that were once dismissed as expendable were now seen as essential. When he walked out of that building, the sun felt brighter, not because his problems had vanished overnight, but because his values had finally been rewarded. News travels fast in small towns. The old garage owner eventually heard what happened, how the mechanic he fired was now running a major operation. Regret came too late. The shop continued to struggle, customers drifting away, sensing the coldness that had always lived behind its walls. Meanwhile, the mechanic never forgot where he came from. He started a small program to help elderly and struggling drivers with basic repairs, using company resources set aside specifically for compassion. Kindness, once punished, had now multiplied. Just before we reach the end, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below with the word kindness if you believe that doing good always comes back, even when it feels like the world is against you. In the final moments of this story, the mechanic stands in a clean, well-lit garage, watching younger workers learn not just how to fix engines, but how to treat people. He knows life will never be perfect, but he also knows this truth: character is revealed when no one is watching, and sometimes the hardest choices plant the strongest roots. The old woman still drives her repaired car, a quiet reminder that one small act can echo far beyond its moment. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of your own struggles, or inspired you to choose kindness even when it costs you, please like, share, and comment on this video. Your engagement keeps these stories alive and spreading hope to others who need